Hey, what's going on, traders? Chris at VerrilloTrading here, going to show you guys something cool today. It's going to be a cool video. We're going to talk about the Trader Workstation software and interactive brokers. And I'm actually going to show you guys 5 different layouts. And these layouts are going to be provided to you guys in a link down below. So actually, this is going to be to help any new users of this software kind of get acquainted with different tools, different ways of using it. And like I said, we're going to provide the XML file for these layouts here, including one that is for options trading, one that is for a stock scanner, and an event calendar. So this can be helpful if you're a beginner user or if you're an experienced user and you just don't like making layouts and you really have no idea where to start when it comes to making layouts. So I took the time to provide this for you guys. So I hope that it can help some of you potentially, get a decent layout or even use this as some sort of a baseline for a layout in the software, guys. So if you enjoyed this content, remember to check out our other videos on the channel and smash the like and all that stuff, So let's do it right now here. So the first thing we're going to do here is actually show you how to get this layout. So it's actually not that hard. The first thing you need to do is get the drive link that we've provided down below. And this is the link right here. You simply paste it into a browser. As you can see, it's a secure link and it's a Google Drive link. You paste it into your browser like that, and it will bring you to the file, the XML file named 5layouts.xml. Now, this is a file that is not meant to be read by humans. It's meant to be read by the software, which is TWS. So as you can see, it looks sort of like some kind of foreign language. So what you have to do is download this file to start and download it to your PC. And of course, it might give you some message like this, like Google Drive can't scan this file for viruses. Well, you need to basically just trust me that this is just an XML file, and I've just saved a settings file in TWS, and this is the file that came out of it. So you will download this file, and you will need to paste it. I'll show you exactly where you need to copy and paste this file. So you can copy the file, and depending upon where you have TWS installed to, you're going to have to go to this folder right here, which is called JTS. And if you installed TWS to your C drive, which I think it does by default, you go to Windows C, then you find this folder JTS, and you're going to want to go in there. And there's 2 folders here that have a lot of characters to them. And I believe that you need to paste it into the folder that starts with the letter J, but you can actually paste it into both of them if you're not 100% sure. So you go into the folder that starts with the letter J. So in my case, it's J, F, E, F, L, D, N, etc. So I'll double click into this folder, and you'll see a lot of images of the interactive brokers tools and stuff like that. And you're just going to simply paste it into this folder. You can right click and then select paste, or you can do Control V to paste that in there. Now I'm not going to paste it in here because I already have the file in there. So if I do paste it, it's going to ask me if I want to replace the existing file. So I don't have to do that. But in your case, you'll have to paste it there. Now, the next thing you would want to do is go into your TWS software. Now, assuming that you're already logged in to the platform, you need to log in into your account and everything, and it could be a demo account as well. And by the way, if you are using the paper trading account, that is going to be separate than the live account login. It's actually 2 different logins. So you will have to, if you load in the settings file in your live account instance, you're going to have to do the same thing again when you log into the paper trading account, okay? Just to let you guys know. So you're going to go up to File, and then you're going to select Layout/Settings Recovery. And here it will say that the layout recovery feature enables you to restore a layout from a prior day or any saved layout that is saved to an XML file. So in this case, we'll select custom, OK. And now we can find our XML files, which it looks directly in this folder here, which is the folder J with many characters to it. So in this case, the XML file is titled 5layouts.xml. And what you do is you simply open that, and it will begin to load in the files. Now, you may get a message that prompts you if you want to send a message to Interactive Broker support and tell them why you had to change the settings or something like that. This method can also be used to share settings files to other users. Okay. Now, one thing to note is that when you change the settings file, of course, if you had another settings instance or another instance of the software with your own layouts, they will not be there anymore because you will have now loaded in this new settings file, which will load in exactly everything that you see on the screen here. Okay. So now I'll make myself smaller in the corner so we can start getting to work and taking a look at these different layouts here. So this will be good for users that have no prior experience with building layouts, or they just don't want to build any layouts. and you want a basic template to start from. So we've created 5 different layouts here, and these are layouts that we've created from using the software for a long period of time. And of course, every trader is different, so there's no guarantee that you'll be able to really use this and take advantage of this, because the way you trade might be totally different, and this might not even help you at all. And I'll kind of touch on that more especially as we get into the options trading stuff, okay? And you can see at the bottom of the screen here, we have our layouts. So these are the 5 layouts. The first one is called quotes and trades, followed by options trading, followed by a stock scanner, then an event calendar, and then the news. Okay, now the news tab here, this is actually one of the default layouts, but we decided to include it in here because it sort of fit the theme of everything that we put together here. Okay, so I'll bring myself back now, and we're going to go ahead and show a few important settings. So the first thing is, when you load this into your instance, into your software, it is possible that the fonts can look off because the way you have configured your operating system and the size of your screen and all of that, your screen resolution, it might be different than the way I have it configured here on my system. So what I want to show you guys is actually how to change the font in TWS. And one thing that is true is that pretty much all of the fonts in TWS are controlled using the global configuration font. So there is no operating system fonts that are used in the TWS software. It's all controlled through the platform. So we go up to File, Global Configuration, and I've selected that here. If you don't find it at the top, it's going to be right here under Application Settings. Okay, then we're going to go into the Display Settings, then select Style. This is where we change the font for the application. So in this case, the font that I selected was Arial. I believe this is a very readable font. It's a very good font overall, easy to read. In this case, we've set the font size to be a little bit larger than the Mosaic font size. What the Mosaic font size controls is sort of this text here at the top, and also the size of these buttons at the top of the screen here, and where it says File, Account, and Help, right? So if I do change the Mosaic font size, you might notice that those got a little bit bigger there, okay? That will also affect the size of the menus when you go into the drop-down menus and that, okay? So of course, if you need to adjust the font, that's how you're going to do it. Now, another thing to note about font adjustment is that you can actually adjust the font for individual windows in the software. So if you notice that, for example, one particular window, you wanted to make the font a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, you can do that by selecting whichever tab it is. In this case, this is an activity monitor tab where we can see our portfolio, any active orders, and any trades that have occurred. You can click on this little gear icon here to configure, and then you can select configure the font, and then you can actually set a custom font size for a particular window. In this case, we actually set a slightly smaller font size for that window because we noticed that the text here at the top was a little bit too large. So if you wanted to make that smaller, you can check the box for a custom font size and put it to a smaller font than what you selected there, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is explain sort of the basics around each layout here. Okay, so let's start with the first layout here, which is quotes and trades. Now, this layout uses only a handful of windows here, and the main one is this one right here, which is a quote board or a quote monitor in TWS. This quote monitor here comes from the classic TWS layout, and in my opinion, it's probably the easiest tool to use in all of TWS, and it's actually very effective because you can see quotes for markets, and you can also input your orders and see any existing orders and existing positions, all from this one quote board here. So that's why I like it that much, because in my opinion, there's no other tool in the entire software that can do all of that in sort of one window. If you guys are familiar with the basic Mosaic layout that they show you the first time you open the software, there's a lot of different windows and they have that order entry thing that, in my opinion, is really not necessary. So here we go. I've configured a watch list for you guys of different sectors, and of course you can adjust this how you need. So the thing about the quote board here is that it is highly customizable, and you can basically change these tabs to show you any data that you want. And if I go over quickly to the option trading tab here, the option trading layout, you can see that there is also a quote board here. However, there has been added a couple of different columns that are not in the other one. Like, for example, in the options trading quote monitor, we added the delta and the gamma. Now, of course, you can customize that by right-clicking on any column and then selecting customize layout. At this point, you can go ahead and configure any of the columns and add columns, remove columns. And for the quote monitor columns, another thing that's very important is that for every column of data, there's actually 2 pieces of data. The first one is the market data, And then the second one are the order columns. And these can all be, of course, customized. So anything related to trading data or order data is going to appear in the order columns, and anything related to market data, of course, is going to appear in the market data columns. So if you take a look for every column here, on the top shows the market data columns like volume, bid, ask, last, change, and on the bottom we have our order columns like the quantity, time, and force. So if we prompted an order on one of these stocks, you can see now our order columns show the data here. So our order time and force, day, the order type, the order price, the order destination, and etc. Okay, so again, just showing the uses of the quote board here, the quote monitor. So in this case, you can see at the top of the quote monitor, there's actually a selector you can use to select which account you want to trade with. Now that menu can actually be hidden away. For example, if you only have one account and you don't really switch accounts around, you can actually right click at the top there near the top of the quote monitor and select hide account selector, and that will remove that away. But in the case that you do have multiple accounts, probably it's better to just keep it there. Okay. The next thing we can show here is that you can actually rename the page. So in this case, we've named it quote board, but as you saw on the other screen, you can rename it. So I renamed this one to trader, but again, customize it as you wish. Okay, so the next couple of things we can show here are basically these other windows. So there's a BookTrader here, which is an order entry tool in TWS. Now, as you can see here, it looks like it's sort of cut off. One thing you can do to remove that or make it look less cut off is actually select this little arrow right here, and then choose this, which will full screen the BookTrader, so that way you can actually see prices on the BookTrader, okay? And all of these windows are linked together. That's the next thing. So for example, if you selected a particular market on the quote board, you will then see it appear here on the BookTrader, okay? And it will show you any open P&L if you have any positions. Now, because we selected a currency pair in this case, it's actually showing us a profit and loss based upon a currency exchange we made in our account over a long period of time. Now, I think it does that by default, but now you can see here, if you have an open position on a particular market, it will show you your P&L in the P&L column of the BookTrader. Okay, if you had open orders on the BookTrader, it would show you those in the status column. We do actually have 2 videos on the BookTrader on this YouTube channel. You can find them by searching up TWS BookTrader or viewing our playlist of TWS tutorials. All right. So at the top here, well, there's a chart. A chart is useful just to see some price history. And as you can see, it is just a basic chart set to daily candles. And in the case that you need to configure that, you can always change the time period here if you want to do that. Really, it's just a chart. There's nothing complicated about it. You can basically, whichever symbol you select, it will change everything to that particular symbol. Another thing we can show is for any one of these windows here, if you do decide to full screen the window, you can actually just choose this to maximize it. Now, I'm not sure if you can maximize windows with a hotkey. That might be supported. I'm not too sure though, okay? On this activity tab here, there's 3 tabs that we added to them. Now, as you can see, because the text is a little bit large, we're not actually seeing them. Now, if I maximized it like that, you can now see there's 3 tabs here. The tab on the left will show your portfolio or any existing positions and cash in your account. The tab in the middle here will show any trades that have occurred in your account in the last 7 days, I believe. And then the last one will show any active or open or pending orders in your account. And this will include orders that are not active, that have conditions associated with them and all of that. So basically any kind of active order, prompted order. Okay, so as an example, I'll change my account to one of my active accounts here. And then I'll go over to this symbol, AAPL, and I'll show you how to prompt an order. So in this case, there's actually hotkeys that were programmed into this layout, and you will have the same exact hotkeys if you load it in the settings file. So if you do press Shift B, you should get a buy limit order that gets prompted at the price of the current best bid in the marketplace. In this case, that is what you see happen here, and the quantity is default to 100, but you can actually always go in and change that if you want a different default order quantity. So you can see here that our order comes up on the quote monitor. It also appears on the chart, and it also appears on our orders tab here. Of course, if we right click on this order, we can get different things that we can change regarding the order ticket. We can also attach orders to it if we wanted to, okay? Now, all of the, attaching brackets and all of that, that can also be configured as defaults if you want, but we're not gonna really do that in this video. We just wanna sort of show the basics of everything. And we do have actually videos on bracket orders too. You can check those out too, but we're always making new ones. To submit a basic order, you can also do right click on the symbol itself and then select buy or sell or strategy. And this is also advantageous because through the right click on the symbol, you can access any other additional analytical or trading tools that are available in the software. One of them that is useful potentially for investors is the Fundamentals Explorer, and probably we should do a video on this. So you basically, once you're in the right click menu for a symbol, you select Analytical Tools, then you select Fundamentals Explorer, and it will load this menu right here where we can see the Fundamentals Explorer tool in TWS. Okay, so we'll close this for now, but it's just good to know. Let's go over now to the Options Trading tab. Now, what's useful about this tab here is that there's an option chain on the right side of the screen. And there's also a quote board here on the bottom left of this tab, and a BookTrader here in the case that you wanted to use this to input orders at very specific prices. But again, you know, I do want to reiterate now, this is very important. So for example, from the perspective of an options trader, of course, options trading has many technicalities to it. So there really is zero guarantee that this layout is going to be able to be of help to you. Now I'll show you a few different ways that you can use it, but really what I mean is, for example, options traders that use mathematical formulas to get their pricing models and to, you know, place their orders at very specific areas, you know, potentially this layout is not even close to enough of what it is that they need, because actually maybe at that point they want to be inputting orders using the API because they have formulas that are, you know, programmed to tell them exactly at which prices they need to be inputting their orders at. In that case, you know, maybe this can be used as sort of like a basis, but you might be using something else to send your orders to TWS through the API, if that makes any sense to you guys, okay? If not, just disregard it. So in this case, you can see here, I click on symbols on the quote board and it will change the symbol of all of the other tools. So for example, I clicked on AMD and we can now see the option chain for AMD. Now this here will be, I guess, advantageous for traders that want to transact on specific options contracts. So here's a quick example. So let's say you wanted to trade the 82 put option or call option. Let's say call option. The puts are on the right side and the calls are on the left side. Now the market is currently closed, so we're not seeing any quotes here at this moment here. So what we'll actually do now is we will click and drag. Now we have to hover over one of these columns, either the bid column or the ask column. It will not work if we hover over any other column. If you don't have those columns, and you should have them if you added in the settings file, but if you don't have them, of course you can simply right click here and then choose configure layout, and then you'll have to go in and add them in manually. Okay, so again, back to what we were showing, you click and drag on either the bid or ask column, and you want to drag this in to your quote board. So in this case, I've dragged in that call option, and I'll actually full screen the quote board, you know, just so you can see it a little bit better. So there you go, there's our AMD June 24th expiry 82 call option. Now, when the option is in your quote board, you can do whatever you want with it at that point. And if you do have any existing position on this option, you should see it right here on the right side. It will show you your position quantity, your average price, and your P&L, daily P&L since the market is opened. You know, using the previous example, you can right click on that to submit buy orders and sell orders, or you can use the hotkeys as well. Okay, now this also works the same exact way if you're using or trading option spreads. So if you look very quickly, on our quote board, there was actually an option spread here on a stock. The way you add an option spread to your quote monitor or to your watch list is like this. Is very simple. The first thing you do is turn on the strategy builder for that options chain. And then you're going to want to create your spread. Now, there's a few different ways you can do this, but in my opinion, this is the simplest way. And of course, you need to know already which options you want to be trading. So let's say you want to do, for example, a vertical spread, a call vertical spread, credit spread. So what you'll do in this case is, let's say you wanted to sell the 83 call and buy the 87 call. It's as simple as clicking on either the bid column or ask column to add it to the strategy once the strategy builder has been turned on. So let's say I want to sell the 83 call. I will click on sell leg right there, and you can see it goes into the strategy builder. Now, because this is a vertical spread, we want to buy a call strike that is higher up. In this case, I'll buy the 87. So I'm hovering over the ask column. I will select that. I'll left click, and now I have a spread. So the name of this spread is June 24th for the expiry, 83 by 87 bear call. So actually this is a credit spread. Now, once you have the spread loaded here, there's many things you can see regarding the option spread. Now, the first thing is if you want to add this to your watch list so that you can see any existing positions or place orders at very specific price points, or maybe even submit some sort of a bracket order on that, you can add it to your watch list right here by selecting add to watch list. In this case, contract is added to quote monitor trader, which is right here. Okay, so now the spread is in our watch list. We can manipulate it. We can see any important data regarding that particular spread. Now, the next thing is here, once you have the spread in the strategy builder, there's also other data that it shows you. At the very bottom right here, it actually gives you an estimated margin impact of this options position. Now, this is subject to change. It's not always 100% accurate, but it's a pretty good estimate using IB's models and their systems, the way they calculate the margin impact on your account. Okay, so I think that that's pretty important to take a look at. Then, of course, if you want to see what is called the performance profile for this particular strategy, you click on profile. And it's going to bring up this window right here. Now, in some cases, you might notice this window pops up like in an odd location on your screen. In that case, you want to find it and you want to go to the top right of that and where it says show in permanent window. You want to sort of click on that. It's going to bring it into its own sort of window that can be manipulated individually. Okay, so that's only in the case where if you find your window pops up in a random location. Okay, so here's this performance profile, and basically what it tells you is data regarding this particular position. And we're not really going to cover, what all this data means here, but now at the bottom here, this is an interesting tool where we can actually see it's something called scenarios, where it will actually say at the top we have underlying, and we can see here the current price of the underlying, I guess since the last time the market closed, was 81.42 cents. And what we can do here with this scenarios window is we can first select a date. Now, any date before the expiry of this contract or spread in this case. So in this case, this spread expires in around 4 or 5 days. So we only have these dates to choose from. And then we have something to select a percentage move in the market. What this does is it gives you an outlook if the market were to move by that much of what would be the impact on your P&L for this position. Now, to make this simple, we'll change this to the expiry date of the option. Potentially, it doesn't give us super accurate data because, again, the market is closed. But what we can see here is sort of an estimate regarding our P&L, or what our P&L on this position will be based upon the movement in the marketplace. So if the market does not move by the time this option expires on June 24th. So come June 24th, the market is at the same exact price that it is currently, 81.24. Then our P&L would be $124. If the market moved down by 1% by June 24th expiry, or down by 3%, or down by 5%, you can see here that the P&L does not change. Okay, we're still going to be making $124. And if the market does move up 1%, we still make $124. And then if the market moves up by 3%, or up by 5%, there you can see the P&L numbers start to change here. Okay, so that's just an example of that performance profile window. And like I said, if you do more advanced sort of quantitative trading where you have specific models that determine your profit targets on various options, then of course this will probably not be enough for you, but this is sort of a basic options trading window that you can use to import spreads into a watch list and then transact upon those spreads. Okay, the next tab here at the bottom, there's 3 more tabs and we'll kind of zoom through these. This next one here is a stock scanner. Now what this is, in TWS, they call it the Advanced Market Scanner. Now, this is actually a pretty hefty sort of scanner, and I mean, you can do a lot with this. So as you can see here on the right, you have to select your instruments to scan, and you can scan basically any markets that are supported in Interactive Brokers. So for example, if you wanted to trade Canadian stocks or scan the Canadian stock markets, you would select here America, non-US stocks, and then you can see here we have Canada and Mexico appear there. Now, if you just leave it at the top menu here, you're going to see our American stock exchanges, the NYSE, Amex, NASDAQ, etc. Okay, and now in the middle here is where we choose our filters for this scan, and we can add custom filters. You can also scan by sector, industry, and category. That's another filter they have there by default. And of course here, by selecting add filter, you can add filters that are based upon any of these conditions or data points that are available here. So there's a lot of different ones, including various indicators like moving averages, volume, options data, and all of that. So, you know, definitely if you need to create very specific scans, you can do that here. Now, of course, some things might be a little bit tricky. Like I know that some traders might want to be creating scans that are based upon price action. They might say when the market is trading at the high of the day or something. And again, you have to kind of work around what is provided here. Actually, right here on the right side now, where it says parameter, there's actually a number of pre-configured scans that you can choose from, like top percentage gainers on the day, most active on the day, most active dollar volume on the day, halted stocks, and a whole bunch of other different things. So those are pre-configured scans, and of course you can add additional filters here if you need to add those. Okay, so there's a lot you can do with this scanner just to kind of pick up on what's going on in the markets, you know, like what's moving around, what are people trading, etc. Now, if you look at this table here, so these columns were predefined, or we added some of them. And if you need to change those columns, again, you just right click on any column and you select customize layout right there. Okay. And here's where you will be able to add in or change those columns. So in this case, we added in something called short-term volume. So the volume in the last 10 minutes. Now, okay, that was just an experiment. You can remove it if you want, or add in any other column. Okay. So on the top right here, just a chart so you can see. So you can click on any of these symbols here, and it will sort of give you the chart for that symbol, so you can kind of get an idea of the price action on the daily time frame. So, and then what you can do with this is, let's say you found one or two or three that you like in particular, and you see the way they're moving and you like the way the price action is, or you just maybe you like the news. What you can do is you can either go into your options trading or quotes and trades tab, and you can type in the symbol in those quote monitors. Or now another method of bringing in these symbols into your other watch list is by right clicking, selecting edit and copy, or pressing Control plus the letter C on your keyboard, and that will copy the symbol. So now it's copied to the clipboard. And then when we go onto our other tab, I've switched back to the quotes and trades tab, and we can select an empty row, and then we do Control V, and it will paste in a brand new row with that particular ticker symbol. Okay. So now we have it here, and we can, you know, see the best bid and offer and market depth. If you subscribe to market depth data, you will see it there, and you know, place trades on that and everything. Now, one thing I'll just quickly show you regarding the quote board is that if you do need to add or remove some of these rows, I'll show you how to do that. So I actually configured a hotkey. You can configure the hotkey yourself, but in this case, I think I had it set to Control and the equals key. So if I do Control equals, you can see that I can add as many additional rows as I want. And to get rid of them, I can press the delete key. I've deleted them now. Okay, so that's fine. That's the stock scanner. And then we'll go over to the event calendar here, where we can basically see, you know, what's going on in terms of market moving events or economic data and that kind of stuff. So here we have our event calendar on the left. You can choose to filter out specific things right here, including the country at the very bottom. I have it set to all because I saw I was blocking that. Now, basically, I've only enabled to show Econo Day events and economic events. Corporate events, I guess, are fine as well, but you know, those are the most important. So we have our event calendar. We can select to see the event calendars on various days. And on the right of this, we can see events that are scheduled for today's date. In this case, these are the events. On the bottom here, we added a notepad. So if you wanted to just make a note of something, you can do that here. I'm not so much of an advocate of this. I prefer to use text documents or notepads, you know, physical notepad, but you can also write notes directly here. Now, these notes here, if you create a note, it needs to be created on a particular symbol. So we'll select new note, and then you need to have a symbol selected. In this case, it's just set to the last symbol we were actively selected on our other tab. But if you wanted to change that, you can type it in here and add it in. In this case, we'll stay with that, and then it'll tell us that we've created this note at this time. And now we can go into this here on the bottom right and start typing away and create notes for those symbols. Okay, you can increase the text or decrease it by highlighting and selecting these buttons right here. Bold the text, italic if you want. And they also allow you to insert a link to your note. Okay, now these notes that you create here are part of your TWS client-side instance. This is something that is not likely to be held on Interactive Brokers servers. Like, these notes here are held on your client side, so no one will see these notes other than you. Okay, just, you know, in case that anyone was wondering about that, if you write like some personal thing there. It is not possible for anybody to see that other than you, okay? Okay, one other thing we can show is the alerts in TWS. Now we do have an older video for the alerts, but there's probably going to be a newer one coming soon. So the alerts in TWS are very powerful. You can configure many different types of alerts, including if any trades have occurred in your account, or alerts based upon economic data, or alerts that are based upon very specific conditions, and alerts that can actually trigger orders. Okay, so we're going to probably cover that in a new video coming out soon, but for now we'll just give you a basic outline on that. So as you can see here, there are 2 alerts that are configured here, and these alerts are fully server side, and they will always be active no matter what. Okay, like basically, anytime you have an order active with Interactive Brokers, or a bracket order, or an alert, or even order conditions, these are all server side, which means that they will be active at all times. And even if you are not connected, if you're completely logged off, those alerts are still active. Those order conditions are still active on IB's servers, and they will still work. Okay, so that's actually one of the big advantages of Interactive Brokers. Believe it or not a lot of services have fully server side orders, bracket orders, alerts, order conditions, and all that. Okay, so it's pretty good. So regarding the alerts here, for example, the first alert here is actually an alert that has been created that will send us a message to our mobile device and to our email if any trade occurs in our account. That's one thing, okay? And actually that is very easy to configure. We don't have to show how to do that, okay? The next alert here is an alert that is based on a piece of economic data, and I'll briefly show how to do that. So for now, I'll just minimize this window. So let's say, for example, you're looking at your economic calendar, and you can see that there is something at a particular time. So for example, here, United States existing home sales at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, June 21st. Let's say, for example, this was important to you. You can click on that, and it will give you more information about the consensus and the definition, etc. And then at the very bottom, you can see you can add an alert on this event. Now an alert is added and activated. Please check alerts window if needed. So we'll click OK, and we'll go back to our alert manager, and we can see here now that there is an active alert for this economic event. Okay, now if we needed to adjust this alert here, we can either have it selected by clicking on it, then selecting edit, or we can right click on it and then select edit. Now in this case, it has not been enabled by default to send a message via email or SMS. And I believe you can configure that to be default if you want, but in this case, it's only been configured to show up on our platform. Now, if you did want to receive an email, you would select that right there and then save the modification. Okay, so now this is configured to send us an email at that time on that day when this economic data comes out. Okay, now I'm not sure if it will send you an email regarding the result of the economic event, but it will send you a notification, that's for sure. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the alerts page for now. One last thing we need to cover here that's very important, which is regarding the performance of Trader Workstation. Now, so guys, Trader Workstation is not exactly a very performant platform in the sense that it's made with Java, and let's just say it's not the most lightweight software. Okay, I'm not really a software engineer, so I can't give you all the details, but as you can see, if we do look at our task manager here, you can see that it's actually using quite a lot of memory. So one thing that we can recommend is that if you do not need all of the tabs here, and I guess maybe it's this news tab where we have this Bloomberg TV thing going on, but basically if you do not need this, you can close them out. You can close the tab right here. And in the case that you wanted to re-add it, you can simply click on the plus icon there and go to the layout library, and you will be able to go to my layouts and then re-add any one of the layouts. Actually, they're saved within your settings file that you added in at the beginning. So when you remove an existing tab, it will reduce some of the memory that is being held and used with the software. Now, as you can see, it has not been reflected right away here. So actually what you might need to do is close Trader Workstation and then open it and log in again, and you should see the memory using a little bit less. Okay, so Trader Workstation, guys, definitely not the most lightweight software, but if you can configure it to, use it the way you want, then it can be just fine. As a basic comparison, of course, there is Sierra Chart using 75 megabytes and basically nothing, but it's running in the background doing nothing. Just a couple of chart books are configured, but really there's nothing going on. And we have, you know, fully tick by tick data and very accurate 100% precise data. And well, we're not connected to the data feed or anything, but, you know, and of course, you know, but Sierra chart, in my opinion, is in a category of its own, so we don't have to talk about that. Where there's plenty of other videos on that. So, okay, fine, guys. So I hope this helped some of you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Catch you soon. Take care. Bye.